Part 51. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 506. Before that, it was all the powerful people from Shenzhou who besieged the Ghost King. After that, things were different. There were many whirlpools rolling all over the Ghost King's body, with it as its core. Even if he didn't have to move his heart, the surrounding space would be distorted, and the rivers and the earth would burst apart and be sucked in by it. Everyone's clothes were automatically swung in the direction of the Ghost Emperor without wind. He is like a bottomless pit, swallowing everything. No matter what it is, as long as it enters his mouth, it basically disappears from the world. Once upon a time, you were aloof and you were the gods in my heart, but you did not come to the East China Sea to save us. I have been disappointed in you again and again. Now, you can only become my food. Destiny, destiny, is such a wonderful thing. Later, I understood that instead of waiting for you guys, it's better to be the master of this world. It's not very interesting for me, the most ordinary mortal, to decide your life and death in one step. What about? While using his miraculous means to suppress the strong men of Shenzhou, the Ghost Emperor looked like he was crazy, laughing and talking at the same time. Suddenly, the gray vortex on his body suddenly expanded and swept forward, covering the sky and the sun, completely engulfing the Yanhuang city lord and others. Seeing such a scene, many ascetics, no matter how unwilling they are, can only give up everything and run away. People felt sad. For them, today might be the end of the world. Everyone felt intense turmoil, sadness, and despair. The gray vortex still swept outward, covering almost 1/10 of the divine continent in just a short moment. Regardless of whether you are a monk or a mortal, as long as you look up, you can only see a gray, endless, high-speed rotating vortex in the sky. As this vortex rotates, mortals feel that their bodies are getting lighter and lighter, and even the surroundings. A lot of dust and leaves had already rushed towards the sky, disappearing in the storm. Perhaps at this time, to people, this huge gray vortex covering the sky is a huge mouth, like the mouth of God, biting the world at this time. Although Wu Yu and others were far away from the previous battlefield, they were actually still in the center of this huge gray vortex. The area above their heads was also the Ghost King's battlefield. Now they could no longer see the fierce battle above, they could only see in the gray vortex. All kinds of terrifying energy erupted from time to time, surging fire, wind, fire and thunder, various magical techniques whizzed past, and various Taoist tools made clanking sounds, prompting attacks that swept thousands of miles. The Yanhuang city lord and the others did not even have time to urge Wu Yu and others to escape. Now the survival of Shenzhou depends on whether they can stop the Ghost Emperor. Maybe he has a weakness. What could his weakness be? Even if he didn't have the ability to confront the Ghost King head-on, Wu Yu was still thinking and racking his brains. At this time, everyone is looking forward to death, except them. In the gray vortex, the movement was getting louder and louder. What people were most afraid of seeing was that after a while, only the Ghost Emperor would come out of it, and everyone else would enter his stomach. Then at that time, he should be even more terrifying to the point that no one can understand him. Devouring, what kind of ability is this? Wu Yu. Suddenly, the Lord of Yanhuang City called out to himself again. In the gray whirlpool, many people suddenly rushed out. Everyone's tense heartstrings finally relaxed. The strong men of Shenzhou seemed to have joined forces to rush out of the gray vortex. Gray vortex, perhaps because of the group relationship, no one died in the battle for the time being. However, it was almost clear that most of the people were pale and exhausted to the extreme. It was obvious that they didn't have much fighting power left, and they couldn't hold on for much longer. Even the Lord of Yanhuang City and the Holy Lord of Taizhou were exhausted at this time. It was obvious that they were very weak now. Whoosh! At this moment, it can be said that in an instant, the gray vortex that had swept far away shrank in an instant, and then disappeared, all converging into the body of the Ghost King. The Ghost King appears again. He looks strange and indifferent, with a vengeful and ferocious face on his lips. He lowered his head, looked at his opponents, couldn't help but smile, and said, "It is said that the gods who rescue the suffering people in Shenzhou are quite capable. Can block one of my attacks. But, looking at how dying you are now, I will be able to swallow them all if I do it again. Then I will ask you again, is that egg? Do you want me to pick it up myself, or do you want it delivered to me?" That was his first purpose. Obviously he wanted to get what he needed first and then move on to the next step. It is impossible for Holy Lord Taixu to give it to him. Now, they are stalling for time to communicate with Wu Yu. "Why don't you leave? This is an order. Wu Yu, don't be so disobedient. We are letting you go, not for yourself, but for Shenzhou. Hurry up. We may not be able to hold on for long. The Ghost Emperor is now, it's so scary. I'm afraid even they have lost their fighting spirit at this time and are ready to die in battle." Wu Yu originally had hope for them, thinking that they could kill the Ghost Emperor even if it was difficult, but judging from the current situation, the situation was not optimistic. Not only them, but the entire divine continent was in danger. At this time, who else can save Shenzhou? Unfortunately, I don't have this ability yet. Facing the Ghost Emperor, I can't help you at all. He hates living an ignoble existence, hates leaving, and he doesn't want to give up his family, friends, and elders and leave alone, so even if the Lord Yanhuang City has high hopes, he still can't take a step forward at this moment. No matter how anxious they were, Wu Yu still gritted his teeth and persisted here. This was his fighting spirit and courage, and it was also his way. In his Tao, there is no such thing as leaving family members and friends to flee for the time being. He knew that leaving was the right choice, but after convincing himself countless times, he still couldn't do it. Can't do it. In the midst of the struggle, an accident happened. The Ghost King suddenly smiled. He was going to take action directly to deal with these more than 20 weak opponents, but his acumen exceeded the imagination of Holy Lord Taixu. Even if they used Taoism and communicated secretly, they could only let the other party hear what he said, but such continuous communication still made the Ghost Emperor discover it. The Ghost Emperor looked at Wu Yu with great interest and suddenly said, "So what I want is with you." He might have guessed at first, but after he said it, he definitely knew it and was very confident. Therefore, at this time, his target changed directly from Holy Lord Taixu and others to Wu Yu. Perhaps to him, there was no difference between Wu Yu and the injured Yuan Shen incarnation. After seeing Wu Yu, he fell from the sky at this time. Although the speed was not fast, the strange and ferocious pressure all over his body was extremely uncomfortable. "Stop him." The expressions of Holy Master Taixu and others changed, and they quickly tried to intercept the Ghost Emperor. Obviously, when the Ghost King guessed that the egg was in Wu Yu's hand, it was already difficult for Wu Yu to escape with the egg. This road is considered to be cut off. Although he intervened to intercept, the Ghost Emperor's speed still exceeded them. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Wu Yu, controlling Wu Yu's life and death at any time. At this time, the Yanhuang City Lord and the others had not caught up, and they could only die while dying. Surrounded the Ghost King. In front of the Ghost Emperor, there were Nangong Wei, Ji Linglong, and Zhu Ying. Of course, his eyes were all on Wu Yu. "Are you the person I envied most in the past? A genius boy who rose up all the way and was protected by the strongest. You have had a smooth life and never suffered any disasters. Are you born to be superior to others?" The Ghost Emperor was not in a hurry to kill Wu Yu. Instead, they chatted calmly. The Yanhuang City Lords were so anxious that they were sweating profusely, but no matter how they thought about it, it was a fact that they were suppressed by the Ghost Emperor, and no one had a solution. Now looking face to face with this existence that has plunged the entire Shenzhou into a life and death situation, Wu Yu certainly has hatred in his heart, but he is still calm at the moment. Panic can't solve anything, he said. I'm sorry, it's not what you think. I was born in this mortal country at your feet, and I am a mortal like you. To stand in front of you today, the life and death test I have experienced may not be the same. It will be less than you. He knew what the Ghost King hated most. He hated unfairness. The better born people were, the more he hated them. I remember, it was you who destroyed the palace of hell. It was you who took away my treasure. You are a bit special among this group of people. The Ghost King shook his head and said. Thank you, Wu Yu said. Minglong was complaining and said, oh, I have such a hard life. I finally have some hope of relief. I didn't expect you to encounter such a monster again. It's fine now. As long as you return to the West, how many years will I have to wait? Even she guessed that Wu Yu would definitely die when he stood in front of the Ghost Emperor. There is really no suspense. If the Ghost Emperor wanted to take action, Wu Yu and the others would be so close to him that even Holy Lord Taixu and the others would not be able to save him in time. At this time, the Ghost King stretched out his hand to Wu Yu and said, since it is not easy to survive until now, you should know that only by lowering your head can you have a chance of survival. His eyes glanced at Wu Yu's samurai bag. What he wants is right here. At this moment, there was dead silence. Wu Yu had no choice. As soon as the Ghost King stretched out his hand, the samurai bag was in his hand. He opened it and saw that what he wanted was indeed in the samurai bag. Of course, the vast sea Tyrannosaurus the pillar is also in there. Unfortunately, Wu Yu seems to have no chance to control this weapon. In front of the Ghost Emperor, Nangongwei, Ji Linglong, and Zhu Ying were all extremely nervous. Their faces turned pale at this time. They knew that when the Ghost Emperor got what he wanted, Wu Yu and the others would be worthless, and he would probably just take it. The four of them will be killed. In fact, the Ghost Emperor really wanted to do this. At this time, he smiled strangely and wanted to swallow Wu Yu. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 507. /U0026 and Wu Yu had experienced many life and death moments. /U0026 and but this time, he was the most powerless to resist, because only this time, his opponent was so strong that even the top masters of Shenzhou, whom he respected, could not deal with him at all. /U0026 and more than 20 Yuan Shenhuaxing realm were completely suppressed by him, including Taixu Saint Lord and Yanhuang City Lord. /U0026 and moreover, the one in front of him was obviously created by the devouring heaven demon ancestor, who could only be dealt with by gods and immortals. How could Wu Yu fight against him? He had only been practicing Taoism for more than 10 years. How could he fight against such an existence that had been imprisoned for 3 epochs and had not died? /U0026 and so Wu Yu knew very well that no matter what form of resistance he made at this time, there was no suspense that the Ghost Emperor would kill him. /U0026 and the only thing he didn't expect was that at this moment of certain death, Nangongwei stood on his left and Zhu Ying stood on his right. If he lost his life, they would obviously not be spared. /U0026 and when the Ghost Emperor made his move, Wu Yu couldn't help but look at Nangongwei. At this moment, the girl's face was pale and she was helpless. Now that the two looked at each other, Wu Yu only saw the fear in her heart. Perhaps she also wanted to be by Wu Yu's side like before, even if it meant death, but now she felt strange. Even facing the shadow of death, she could only cry, but couldn't take a step towards Wu Yu. /U0026 and thinking back to when she was still a child, when she first met her in the Golden Core Cave, and then looking at her who had grown up to be so beautiful, for a moment, it seemed like a lifetime ago. /U0026 and her enemy's son Zhu Ying was right next to her, but she didn't pay attention to him anymore. Maybe she didn't hate Zhu so much in her heart now, because the horror of the Ghost Emperor suppressed everything. /U0026 and perhaps there is a chance to start over. In the Xuanhuan battlefield of life and death, she wouldn't be so fierce, but the past is the past, and there is no regret medicine in this world. /U0026 and bit is indeed a rare ending and relief to die together in this life. /U0026 and at this moment, the Ghost Emperor once again burst out with grey smoke, condensing into the shape of a giant beast, and swallowed Wu Yu and the other 4 people. /U0026 NB no, led by Qiang's sword Immortal, the Yuan Shen waxing realm dared not move at first, but now that the Ghost Emperor still took action, they could only act quickly. /U0026 N for a while, several kinds of imprisonment Taoist arts acted on the Ghost Emperor. These Taoist arts were countless times stronger than Wu Yu's prison dragon trapped heaven art, and even blocked the soul, but the Ghost Emperor's grey mist still broke through these, condensed into a giant beast again, and swallowed him head-on. /U0026 N ball this happened in the blink of an eye. Wu Yu's magic of walking was far from stopping it, let alone escaping. Now he only needed to be stared at by the Ghost Emperor, and it was actually difficult for him to move, let alone take a step to escape. It was not that he didn't want to resist, but the gap was too big. /U0026 and Wu Yu widened his eyes. What exactly was the swallowing of this demon ancestor devouring the sky? /U0026 and what was death like? /U0026 and at the last moment, a hand suddenly grabbed him. Wu Yu knew whose hand it was. Her palm was shaking. It was obvious that she was afraid and helpless at this time, as if she had returned to the time when she was still a child and left Xuanhuan for the first time with Wu Yu. /U0026 and Wu Yu did not expect that he could still have such contact with her at this time. He did not know whether he should be happy or what. Maybe the gap was reduced, but his life was gone, which was meaningless. The only benefit was that this hand-holding completely ended the inner demon he had created several years ago, at least he would no longer feel guilty. /U0026 and last time she left Xuanhuan, she still hated herself. Although Wu Yu could not get together with her, he did not want her to hate herself. /U0026 and this hand-holding may have made the hatred disappear, or she may just be afraid, but at least, before she died, Wu Yu felt much more at ease. /U0026 and in fact, becoming a Taoist couple is just to seek a life and death together. Although the two of them were not destined to become Taoist couples, they can now be considered to have died together. /U0026 and Wu Yu watched the grey mist swallow him up. In fact, he felt that this death was particularly long. He got the best inheritance, but he failed to take a new step. He could only say that he was unlucky. /U0026 and at the beginning, he had the choice to escape first, but he didn't do it. Now he didn't regret it. Only by giving up Shenzhou and escaping would he regret it. /U0026 and when everything was dead silent, only the temperature of Nangong Wei in his palm seemed the only real thing. /U0026 and Ming Long said earnestly, Wu Yu, I knew that you would die sooner or later with your bad temper. I didn't expect it to come so soon. I can only say, I'm very happy to meet you, a short-lived ghost, but you have to bear it after making a choice, so go. /U0026 and speaking of the latter, she actually cried, maybe she was reluctant, after all, they had been together for a long time. /U0026 and B go to your mother, stupid, if it were me, I would have escaped long ago, finally, she couldn't help but complain. /U0026 and in fact, she didn't want to escape at the beginning, so she was surrounded and killed. If she had chosen to escape at the beginning, she would not have died, and there would be no Wu Yu now. Backslash U0026N. At the last moment, the temperature of the whole world was disappearing. In the blink of an eye, the whole world turned gray. Time seemed to become particularly slow. Various gray air currents surrounded her and gradually melted into her body. But in fact, it was not like this. The truth was that Wu Yu's body was melting in this gray air current. This was the swallowing. Backslash U0026N. There was a dead silence. In this dead silence, Wu Yu kept changing the scenes of his life in his mind. There was a great fortune between life and death. He did gain a lot, but it was a pity that he could not transform it into strength. Backslash U0026N. When I think about it in general, I still can't accept it. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Backslash U0026N. After all, what I got was the inheritance of an immortal. Now the dream of becoming an immortal has not been realized, and I can't chase the trajectory of the Monkey King. How can I die like this? The Ghost Emperor is indeed an opponent that cannot be fought, at least temporarily, but I still can't accept it. Unwilling. Backslash U0026N. This is the person who cut off his immortal path. Backslash U0026N. Wu Yu hates him. Backslash U0026N. Of course, he doesn't hate the Ghost Emperor. The Ghost Emperor is just a puppet. He hates the devouring demon ancestor. He has never appeared, but he must be the one who manipulates everything. Backslash U0026N. Extremely hate it. Backslash U0026N. But the saddest thing is that these hatreds are useless. As long as his life is gone, hatred can't make him reborn. Backslash U0026N. But if he could escape this disaster, it would be a blessing for Wu Yu. Between life and death, great hatred and vengeance took his mind all the way, impacting the vast immortal road. The more dangerous the place, the wider the immortal road. Backslash U0026N. If there is an afterlife. Backslash U0026N. Couldn't help but smile bitterly, because he knew that in the afterlife, he would not get the Ruyijing Bang. Backslash U0026N. As the gray fog melted into his body, his perception became less and less, and it was probably the same for Nangang Wei. The movement of her hands was already very small, like a dying little animal, dying in this endless gray fog. Backslash U0026N. Suddenly. Backslash U0026N. Wu Yu was drowsy, and suddenly his spirit was shocked. He seemed to have entered a golden world. The world in front of him was huge and endless. There were bursts of recitations around him, reciting scriptures similar to the inner Vajra Buddha, majestic, high, and shocking. Backslash U0026N. Boom. Backslash U0026N. Bit was like an explosion in front of him. Backslash U0026N. A golden pillar, standing tall and upright, appeared before Wu Yu's eyes. The golden pillar, bathed in the vast flames, was already above the sky, as if the entire heavenly palace was shaking at this moment. Backslash U0026N. I am the great sage equaling heaven, born in Dongsheng Shenzhou. Backslash U0026N. I practiced hard, met a good teacher, and sought immortality, and immortality. Backslash U0026N. I am the creator of all things, a god in the world. Born by rebellion, I jumped out of the three realms and was not in the five elements. The heavenly palace and the gods and Buddhas in the sky can't control me. Backslash U0026N. My way. Reorganize the world and break all injustices. Backslash U0026N. No matter the rules of heaven or heaven, I can't stop me. If the sky suppresses me, I will break the sky. If the earth traps me, I will smash the earth. Backslash U0026N. If one day, I will reorganize the world, so that people and all things have the opportunity to obtain the way, all things in the world are equal, and there will be no more power. U0026 Enthy's golden world is like a giant beast, roaring in Wu Yu's ears, accompanied by the shaking of the giant pillar. At this time, Wu Yu is like seeing the Ruyi golden cudgel for the first time, and his heart is full of shock and yearning. U0026 and everything that the great sage equaling heaven said pointed out the path of Tao for him. U0026 NB from what he heard, it seems that he wants to rebel against the celestial palace, but now he has left behind a legacy but no trace. Has he failed? U0026 and thinking of this, Wu Yu couldn't help but feel regretful. He didn't know what kind of world the celestial palace would be, but he absolutely recognized the great sage equaling heaven and even respected him. U0026 and when he was most excited, this huge golden world exploded. At that moment, Wu Yu felt dizzy. U0026 and by distinctly, Wu Yu seemed to hear Ming Long saying, "Oh my god, the Ruyi golden cudgel is showing its power. Wu Yu, you are saved." U0026 and exerting its power? U0026 and Wu Yu remembered how long the Ruyi Jingbang had been hidden. He did not expect that this time when the Ghost Emperor swallowed it, it actually moved. Perhaps he recognized Wu Yu. While Ming Long was talking, he gradually woke up. Just now, there was an explosion, accompanied by the Ghost Emperor's scream of pain. Wu Yu was wrapped in golden light and seemed to fly out. When the golden light dissipated in front of him, he suddenly saw that he had left the Emperor. In front of him was the Ghost Emperor surrounded by the Taixu Saint Lord. He looked at Wu Yu in shock. What can be seen is that the abdomen he was holding was completely exploded, and the broken intestines and stomach could be seen, bleeding. Although it was recovering rapidly at this time, Wu Yu still guessed that it was obvious that he had just exploded from it. U0026 and did not die. U0026 and no only him, but also Zhuiying and the others, also borrowed Wu Yu's light and did not die. However, at this time, even if they were geniuses, they were scared enough. In fact, they did not know that it was Wu Yu who survived. U0026 and perhaps Nangang Wei knew. At this time, she was also in a daze, looking around in astonishment. She had never expected that she could survive like this. U0026 NB Wei Qiang's sword Immortal burst into tears and took Nangang Wei away at this time. Taixu Saint Lord also quickly pulled Wu Yu and others away. They were also very shocked, so they didn't react at this time. U0026 and however, the Ghost Emperor recovered quickly. U0026 and moreover, he stared at Wu Yu intently, and this time, his eyes were much more ferocious. U003C/C You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 509. Who would have thought that she would appear here at this time? The devouring power of the Ghost King is terrifyingly powerful. Now is the time when the powerful men of Shenzhou are most desperate, most powerless, and also the most frightening. If she had come later, there might not be anyone alive here. If Wu Yu's Ruyi golden cudgel hadn't suddenly changed, if she came over now, she wouldn't be able to see Wu Yu again. Holy Lord Taixu and the others spent a lot of money. No matter what kind of divine channel technique they used, they hit the Ghost Emperor several times. But the problem is that the Ghost Emperor has not been hurt so far, but they have exhausted their mana and the oil is exhausted. Now, Luo Bin can only face the Ghost Emperor alone, which can give Yanhuang City Lord and the others some breathing time, but they are still nervous, because who knows how long Luo Bin can block him. Her realm is a mystery. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Wu Yu, how long can she hold off? The Emperor Shui could only ask him. After all, this is a very important question. The longer she can hold on, the more they will recover, and then they can join the battle. I don't know, but trust her, Wu Yu didn't know it himself, so he could only say this. Okay. Everyone, hurry up. During the confrontation between Luo Bin and the Ghost Emperor, they quickly swallowed many pills. Hundreds of years of accumulation, all the treasures of Shenzhou, they no longer care about their heartache. What can help them recover as soon as possible? They all shared it immediately, otherwise if someone died in battle, it would be useless to keep these treasures. At the same time, of course, they were nervously watching the battlefield between Luo Bin and the Ghost Emperor. After seeing Luo Bin, the Ghost Emperor's greed obviously exploded, and Luo Bin even remembered Shenlong's hatred of genocide. Even the black reverse scales on his body, which are the original dragon scales, appeared at this time. They seemed ordinary, but in fact there was an ancient dragon power inside. Amid everyone's nervousness and breathlessness, the two started fighting at the same time. Luo Bin moved very quickly. She transformed and showed a shocking scene. The white dragon that had only appeared for a moment suddenly appeared. It was a divine dragon as white as glass, with its whole body like gems. It was pure and holy. It could be described with all the beautiful words in the world. Even for mortals in the fairyland, dragons are the totems of gods and immortal beasts. Now that the dragon has come to the world, it has attracted the worship of mortals. In the mortal world, today's battle between ghosts and gods is obviously the legendary battle between immortals and ghosts, and there are even fairy beasts. Shenlong joins. When the white divine dragon descends, it feels like it is dominating the world. Countless monks look up at the divine dragon and express their sincere wonder. Of course, among them is the even more excited Ghost Emperor. I didn't expect that I should have died young and lived a miserable life, but I would end up killing immortals and devouring dragons like this. My fate is so wonderful. It's so wonderful. He laughed like crazy, his eyes were scarlet, and a large amount of grey gas surged from his body, covering his surroundings. This endless mist formed a giant beast about the same size as a divine dragon, competing with the snow-white divine dragon. The divine dragon is holy and noble, but the giant beast condensed from the grey mist is extremely gloomy and strange. It has an evil and terrifying feeling that even ghost cultivators and demons have never possessed. This is an evil like a bottomless pit. To really use to describe it in one word, this word should be, destruction. Yes, gods of all things like the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor should be born to be destroyers. His devouring can destroy everything, but it only strengthens himself. If the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor had not been killed, he might have destroyed everything. Drop the world and swallow it all. However, no matter how loud he was, Luo Bin did not pay any attention to him verbally. Wu Yu saw that Luo Bin's Taoist weapon Soul of the Hidden Sea appeared on the dragon claw. It was a blue trident, which was somewhat similar to the vast sea tyrannical dragon pillar, but its power and level were undoubtedly much more terrifying. Now that Luo Bin has turned into a divine dragon, the Soul of the Hidden Sea has also become extremely huge. Therefore, it is not strange at all for Luo Bin to control this weapon with the body of a divine dragon. In front of the giant beast condensed by the grey mist, the Ghost King also had several Taoist weapons floating in the air, spinning rapidly. At this time, the Ghost King had many methods and was good at all kinds of ghost cultivation magical powers, making it impossible to guard against it. However, when dealing with him, Luo Bin was calmer than ever before. This is what makes her extraordinary. At this time, the body of the divine dragon was revealed, and no one dared to underestimate her. The invisible power of the emperor made the Holy Lord of Taizhou, the Lord of Yanhuang City, and others look at her. But before that, the Ghost King had already frightened everyone even worse. At the moment when the divine dragon was born and the Taoist artifact followed, Luo Bizi did not hesitate and suddenly took action. As the divine dragon took off, the snow-white dragon scales were extremely gorgeous. On the dragon's claws, the Taoist artifact soul of the hidden sea was suddenly sent out, and the three-pronged the halberd stabbed the grey beast. I hope this dragon can persist a little longer. As long as the city lord and the others are given some time to recover, and together with the dragon, they might be able to defeat the Ghost Emperor. I hope she won't be really eaten. If the Ghost Emperor eats the Shenlong, he will definitely be stronger, and then the Shenzhou will be completely finished. Many people were worried and even prepared to flee desperately, even fleeing the divine continent. The news spread throughout the entire divine continent. Now the divine continent has fallen into chaos and panic, and many people have even taken advantage of it to rob. It can be said that the divine continent has fallen into an era of extreme chaos. Now, I saw Luobin's soul of the hidden sea move forward. Suddenly, a miraculous magical power penetrated the Ghost Emperor's body at the sharpest part of the trident. Wu Yu had seen Luobin's magical power before. This was the Xianbing mirror she used during the Yan War. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Many people were frozen and then immediately disappeared into ashes. Of course, in fact, the real clan of this magical power is called the Taishian Ice Realm. Invisibly, the Ghost King screamed in surprise. It might be unbelievable to him, but the reality is that people saw with their own eyes that both the Ghost King and the grey mist condensed around him were mysteriously moving. The ice was frozen, unable to move. In the blink of an eye, people saw with their own eyes that the original grey fog beast had turned into a piece of turbid ice in the sky, and the Ghost Emperor's body was vaguely visible. You can see it in the middle of the ice. The Ghost King is frozen. Just like Luobin's other opponents, who were frozen by her, they fell into deathly silence for a while, and there was no movement at all. The Ghost King will explode the ice and rush out soon, and then the dragon will be in danger. Many people didn't say anything when they caught up, but they were frightened by the Ghost King, and that's exactly what they thought in their hearts. Only Wu Yu, with his eyes narrowed now, knew that Luobin was terrifyingly powerful when she was at her peak. In fact, she was probably not at her peak state now. But it's also scary. He was thinking that it would be great if one day he could catch up with Luobin. In this world, she is the strong one. After the Ghost Emperor was frozen in the ethereal ice realm, the concubines flying around the ice did not stop. The dragon held the soul of the hidden sea with its dragon claws. In the next moment, the soul of the hidden sea, a powerful divine light, erupted from his body. In that divine light, you can see with your own eyes that among the black reverse scales on his neck, a black, majestic, and domineering light joined it, becoming the middle blade of the trident. The sharpest power. Bite. Shenlong held the trident and immediately pierced the ice. At that moment, the ice was penetrated. Inside the ice, the entire body of the Ghost Emperor was also penetrated. At that moment, the Ghost Emperor's face changed horribly, and under circumstances that no one could have predicted, he actually let out an earth-shattering scream. Along with this desperate scream, the entire piece of Xianbing suddenly turned into the finest powder, and powerful people such as Yanhuang City Lord and others could clearly see that the Ghost Emperor's body was also turning into powder at this time. Maybe it was that a ray of black light truly blocked him. Buzz. With an explosion, Xianbing disappeared and turned into powder all over the sky. There was not even a small piece the size of gravel. The Ghost Emperor was completely dismembered. Luobin made a slight move, and immediately people saw that above the East China Sea, at least trillions of tons of sea water rose into the sky and swept across the sky. Luobin pulled the sea water to the sky above Dongyu Kingdom. An ocean formed in the sky, and that ocean passed by her, sucking all the fragments of Xianbing into it. Then, this sky and ocean that covered the sky and the sun returned to the East China Sea and suddenly fell into the sea. Wu Yu knew what she was doing. To be on the safe side, she was mixing the ghost emperor's corpse into powder and mixing it into the endless sea water. When the sea water returned to the ocean, under the control of Luo Bin, the king of the sea, the powder was divided into the smallest parts, heading towards the endless ocean, setting off endlessly, and constantly dispersing into the distance. Just one body, it's just a powder that has been distributed throughout the sea, far beyond the scope of the East China Sea. It is basically impossible to say that the Ghost King can be regenerated. Only then did the battlefield gradually return to calm. However, people were also silent, watching all this with stiff faces. Many people still didn't know what was happening. Even Wu Yu himself didn't expect this scene. He didn't know that Luo Bai was so powerful at this time. I didn't know she could actually do this. The miracle is simply indescribable. Until Luo Bin turned into a human form, she slowly fell down and came to everyone's eyes, saying, "Don't worry, everyone, the Ghost Emperor is dead and will no longer be reborn. Peace can be restored to China. This matter happened because of me. Now I can only barely make up for it. I hope you can forgive me for my recklessness in entering the sky-devouring demon mansion." After all, the result is really unexpected. After she finished speaking, no one responded for a long time. It's not that anyone blames her, it's just that everyone was a little overreacted to the fact that she defeated the Ghost Emperor so easily. After all, even Holy Lord Taixu, Lord Yanhuang, and others were completely suppressed by the opponent. Seeing that the Ghost Emperor wanted to destroy Shenzhou. Wu Yu didn't even expect it. But he doesn't think it's too strange. Now, he has survived the disaster in a thrilling way. The only thing he thought about was to make a vow that he wanted to catch up with Luo Bin. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 510. /U0026 Enbenli. When Wu Yu really saw a strong person, and a special person like Luo Bin, would he suddenly feel such passion and desire? /U0026 Enben. This world, there are always some people who make you want to chase them desperately. Luo Bin is such a person. She appeared in Wu Yu's life, but for the time being, Wu Yu can only look up to her. /U0026 and Wu Yu has an extremely strong desire to be stronger, which makes him feel like he has been injected with chicken blood. The biggest motivation is that he wants to live forever and become an immortal. Next, if there are two biggest reasons, the first is the feeling of powerlessness when encountering the existence of the Ghost Emperor today, and the second is the pursuit of people like Luo Bin. /U0026 and desperate Shenzhou actually welcomed the dawn in the blink of an eye. /U0026 and of course, people found it hard to believe. At this time, people had not had time to celebrate. In the dead silence, the Lord of Yanhuang City asked uncertainly, "Are you sure that the Ghost Emperor is dead?" I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. /U0026 and Luo Bin smiled slightly and said, "No matter what, his soul is still human. I killed him, and his body was also divided into billions of parts. Now it is being rushed to the endless sea by the sea water, and each is far away. At this point, even the top immortals can't be reborn, and it's even more impossible for such an existence to appear in this mortal world. The real body of the devouring demon ancestor couldn't survive like this. /U0026 and Luo Bin is stronger than them, and her words are still authoritative. /U0026 and Wu Yu said, "Don't worry, she won't say anything if she's not sure." /U0026 and Luo Bin's character is still very cautious. /U0026 and bearing this, the great void saint showed ecstasy and shouted, "Everyone, the Ghost King is dead. It's over. Shenzhou is saved." /U0026 and other strong men were also overjoyed at this time. /U0026 and when even they were sure, the people who were frightened by the Ghost King cheered passionately at this time. After despair, they showed unconcealed joy, and then fell into tears of joy after surviving the disaster. U0026 and familiar people hugged each other. U0026 and bit was lively. U0026 and news spread throughout Shenzhou, and people knew that it was a dragon that appeared and saved Shenzhou. U0026 and they didn't expect Luo Bin to solve it by herself, so at this time, the status of this dragon in their hearts rose to an extremely lofty position. They treated her like a fairy, and looked at her with eyes full of reverence. U0026 and Lord of Yanhuang City did not pursue the matter of concubine Luo entering the heaven-devouring demon palace. They were still very grateful to concubine Luo for the matter being over. After all, the matter of the heaven-devouring demon palace was an accident. After this battle, there was also good news, that is, the ghost cultivator was destroyed. U0026 NB Miss Luo has been in my imperial city for so long, and we didn't realize that you have reached such a realm. I am really ashamed, the emperor smiled. U0026 NB Miss Luo will probably go back to her hometown in the future. Remember to come to Shenzhou often. U0026 and they admired concubine Luo very much. The more they talked, the more respect they had for her. For a time, concubine Luo's status in this group was even higher than that of the Lord of Yanhuang City. Many other cultivators also looked at her with respect. U0026 and at this time, she was undoubtedly standing in the highest position. U0026 and however, Wu Yu was beside her. After talking to the Lord of Yanhuang City and the others, Luo Bin brought a sumuru bag and said, I have returned the things of the cultivators to their section. These are the things that the Ghost Emperor swallowed from the 8 Hell Emperors. There are a lot of property and Taoist tools. But most of them can only be used by ghost cultivators. If these things are passed down, it will only lead to the reproduction of ghost cultivators. The Lord of Yanhuang City said that these are my spoils of war, but they are useless to me, so I gave them to you. There are many elixirs suitable for you in them. As for some ghost cultivation classics, you can pick them out and finally give them to the Lord of Yanhuang City to destroy them. U0026 and these may include the property of the 6 ghost cultivators that the Ghost Emperor swallowed in the end, including that of the prisoner Dragon Lord. U0026 and bit is hard to imagine how huge the number will be. Even if most of the ghost cultivators' property cannot be used, the part that can be used is far more than the 50,000 Kanghai Yuankai pills that Luo Bin gave me last time. U0026 and Wu Yu's first reaction was that he couldn't accept such a valuable thing. This was Luo Bin's trophy, and he didn't kill the Ghost Emperor. U0026 and so in the envious eyes of everyone, Wu Yu hurriedly shook his head and said, no, this is not what I deserve, I can't take it. U0026 and Luo Bin guessed that he would say that. She smiled and handed the sumuru bag to Wu Yu, saying, don't be so stubborn. These things are mainly useless to me. I also hate carrying ghost cultivation things on my body, and I don't need them. If you don't want them, I will give them to others. Wu Yu, I may really leave this time, and there may be no chance to meet in the future. Don't you want to go to my world and find me as soon as possible? U0026 and speaking of the latter, her eyes changed a little, full of tenderness, making people want to melt in it. U0026 and she took the initiative to say this. U0026 and when a woman asked Wu Yu to try to find her and catch up with her, Wu Yu's eyes instantly burned. At this time, he didn't care how old Luo Bin was now, or whether she was an old cow eating young grass. Yes, he wanted to be able to stand side by side with her one day. U0026 NB this is my gift to you. I will wait for you. I hope that day will not be too far away. U0026 and people can see that when Lupin said this, it is obvious that she values Wu Yu very much, and even likes him. She gave Wu Yu a chance to pursue her. After all, this is a world of cultivation, and realm and strength are very important. If they really reach the stage of Taoist couple, it is impossible for Wu Yu to still be in the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm, and she is about to become an immortal. That will not last long. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. U0026 and love in the world of cultivation is the most cruel. U0026 nth probability of immortal couples is very small. Even if Taoist couples have great benefits, most people are still ancient for life. U0026 and perhaps it was the experience of Yanhuang ancient well and swallowing heaven demon mansion that made her grateful to Wu Yu. If it were not for Wu Yu, she would not be able to find the original dragon scale and would have died at this time. This is also a favor of life. U0026 and gift. U0026 and especially a woman's gift. U0026 and Wu Yu suddenly remembered the nine-sided demon pillar, which was the most important gift he had received in his life. U0026 and suddenly turned around and went to the Shushan Immortal Gate team to find Nangong Wei, but at this time, everyone's eyes were on him and Luo Bin, paying attention to their conversation, and they were excited that Wu Yu could get the favor of such a woman. Nangong Wei must have seen it, so Wu Yu didn't find her in the crowd. U0026 and she should leave. U0026 and Wu Yu Luo Bin pulled his gaze back and said, "This world is much bigger than you imagined. One day you will understand. Dongsheng Shenzhou is just the bottom of a well. It is far away from the core of the world of Yanfu. The real strong and genius are in a place much larger than Dongsheng Shenzhou. I won't tell you too much, but I hope that one day you can break out of Shenzhou. At that time, maybe you will know my identity and find me. If there is such a day, I look forward to meeting you. Don't be angry that I made these arrangements, because this is cultivation. I have taken many steps ahead of you, and you have to catch up, don't you?" U0026 and she is gentle and affectionate. Her watery eyes melt people's hearts. Every word is soft and moisturizing. Wu Yu is like being hugged in her arms. That feeling is indeed comfortable, but what she said makes sense. She will leave here and let Wu Yu go alone to really catch up with her. Otherwise, even if she has a good impression of Wu Yu, there will be a gap between the two of them. U0026 and be okay. Wait for me. Wu Yu listened to her and put away the gift she gave him. At this moment, his eyes were burning and his heart was very determined. The woman in front of him was too perfect. Wu Yu wanted to possess her. U0026 and even wanted to occupy her. U0026 and these was a strong desire, which gave him endless fighting spirit for a while. Perhaps it was because of his youth and frivolity. He blurted out in front of everyone, "Give me 10 years, and I will see you." U0026 and that requires sufficient strength. U0026 and 10 years is too short. U0026 and Luo Bin wanted to remind him not to overestimate himself and make a vow that could not be fulfilled. But when she saw Wu Yu's firm eyes, she put away her words and said, "Well, then I will wait for you for 10 years. U0026 and she couldn't bring Wu Yu with her. First, it would cause criticism from people around her. Second, living under her protection for a long time would not be good for Wu Yu at all. It would only limit his growth. Wu Yu's future still needs him to fight for it himself. U0026 and B then, I'm leaving. U0026 and the longer he stayed here, the more Wu Yu might not be able to make up his mind to fight. This life and death experience in Shenzhou was particularly special to her. U0026 and Wu nodded, and then Luo Ben faced her, getting farther and farther away until she disappeared in front of him. During this time, Luo Ben's smile was forever engraved in his heart. U0026 and 10 years. 10 years. U0026 and this time is extremely important to Wu Yu. U0026 and wants to go to that wider world to catch up with her. U0026 and Bevan if this is too difficult for everyone. U0026 and after Luo Ben left, people looked at Wu Yu, and in fact, they still had some admiration in their hearts. Wu Yu's emotional experience was too widely spread, and everyone knew it well. U0026 and before this, Nangongwei was still here, and now Qiang Sword Immortal took her back to Xuanhuan first. U0026 and Wu Yu still remembered that at the moment of life and death, she subconsciously pulled him and regarded him as a support. U0026 and however, in life, some misses and barriers are really hard to repair. U0026 and to cultivate, one must respect one's heart. U0026 and Ben his heart, there is only a desire to be stronger, for Luo Ben, and for a new world. U0026 and Bas for Nangongwei, she is not bad either, but she is entangled in love and hate, and Wu Yu does not know how to face her. Maybe when they held hands, she forgave herself, but Luo Ben suddenly appeared, and compared with Luo Ben, she would definitely run away immediately. U0026 and perhaps, she is very sad now. U0026 and B there is still a long time to go, take it step by step, and hope that she will focus on cultivation in the future and go further and further. U0026 and still hopes that Nangongwei will have a better future, and if there is any need for help, he will definitely do his duty. U0026 and at this time, the Lord of Yanhuang City asked, Wu Yu, we are ready to take over the 4 islands of Dongyang in one go, will you go? U0026 and be dear, you can search on the internet to find this site as soon as possible. U003C/DD U003E. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 511. Wu Yu had been to the 4 islands of Dongyang before, and he knew how miserable the 4 islands of Dongyang were now. When he was there, he saw the devastation and thought that it would be great if one day the 4 islands of Dongyang could become a place of peace and happiness like Shenzhou. I never expected that this day of possibility would come so soon. Now, the 8 Hell Emperors, the 4 Great Lords, and almost all the ghost cultivators at the level of the Ghost Emperor are all dead. The entire group of ghost cultivators, except for Duoming Shenzhensu who is still in the East China Sea, has no strong man. On the side of the cultivators, the army is still there. This is a great opportunity to rescue the 4 islands of Dongyang from hell. When they asked Wu Yu if he wanted to go together, Wu Yu certainly did not hesitate and nodded in agreement. Even if he only contributed a part of his strength, it would be a merit for Wu Yu. Luo Ben is gone now, and he only needs to practice with all his heart in the future, without any worries. Not only him, Zhu, who had been to the 4 islands of Dongyang with him, was also willing to complete this historic event together. So, after the war, the Lord of Yanhuang City and others had almost no rest, and led many Shenzhou strongmen to set off directly. They had many opportunities to recuperate on the way. Before, it was the ghost cultivators who occupied Shenzhou. Now, it is the Shenzhou cultivators who are heading to the 4 islands of Dongyang. The Lord of Yanhuang City and the Emperor Marshal, respectively drove a golden and black warship to accommodate many people. The masters and strongmen of other sects also had similar divine objects to hurry on the road. A group of vast teams, mighty and mighty, headed towards the East China Sea. On the way, there were many ghost cultivators who fled in panic. These ghost cultivators were the targets of the Shenzhou cultivators. It is the most unforgivable to these ghost cultivators who want to occupy Shenzhou and turn Shenzhou into another hell. Even though they were very scattered at this time, everyone still caught up with them easily. After all, their strongest was only about the 7th level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. After catching up, a battle with more than millions of people broke out. In the previous battle between the strong, most of the cultivators in Shenzhou did not contribute, so they retained almost all their combat power, and now they are in high spirits. Wu Yu did not need to fight himself. Once his thousands of clones appeared, no one among the ghost cultivators could stop him. In terms of efficiency, basically few people could compare with Wu Yu. The ghost cultivators are now the remnants. Wu Yu knows better than anyone that if one of these people is let go, with their revengeful heart, more disasters will be brought to the mortals in Shenzhou or the 4 islands of Dongyang. Practicing the way of ghosts and gods is an evil way. This group of people is extremely vicious, and all their cultivation is accumulated by the cruel way of losing conscience. It is the most intolerable. They cannot be spared. This is a mighty pursuit. The brutal pursuit stained the East China Sea with blood. During this month, no one did anything. They killed enemies all the way. Shenzhou had a large number of strong men to suppress them, and they also had a huge advantage in numbers. Therefore, they were completely crushed. They killed all the way to the 4 islands of Dongyang. The vast sea of the East China Sea was almost stained with blood. When the first batch of Shenzhou cultivators landed on the 4 islands of Dongyang, less than 1/10 of the ghost cultivators who went to Shenzhou could return safely. But in fact, even if they fled back to the 4 islands of Dongyang, they were not safe. At most, they could only continue to flee. The rest either died in the East China Sea or changed direction and fled to the endless sea in the distance. The Yanhuang Palace has been destroyed, and there are no ghost cultivators in the East China Sea whirlpool, so it is only necessary to capture the 4 islands of Dongyang. Yanhuang Emperor City, Shushan Immortal Gate, Shangyuan Dao Sect and Tianyi clan each captured an island. Among them, Yanhuang Emperor City captured the Dongwang Island. Wu Yu also came here. He fulfilled his original wish and occupied Dongwang Island in a short time. When the Lord of Yanhuang City announced that from now on, the mortals on the 4 islands of Dongyang would be freed from the status of ghost cultivator slavery, no longer subject to ghost cultivators, and could live and work in peace, the mortals of the entire Dongwang Island cheered and rejoiced. They had been enslaved for countless years and they didn't know the taste of freedom. If the ghost cultivators who enslaved them died or escaped, the Shenzhou cultivators would quickly infiltrate the entire Dongwang Island, and the ghost cultivators would have no place to hide. The 4 islands of Dongyang were being transformed at a terrifying speed. Shenzhou even passed on some of the real cultivation techniques of mortals, allowing the cultivation of immortals to sprout here. Transforming the 4 islands of Dongyang is a long-term undertaking. On the one hand, we need to constantly hunt down the remnants of ghost cultivators, and on the other hand, we need to use various Taoist techniques to change the living environment of mortals. We also need to have cultivators stationed here and treat this place as another area of Shenzhou. This may take decades. By that day, it should be like the territory of Shenzhou, extending to the east. Wu Yu stayed here for 2 months. With his thousands of clones, he killed countless ghost cultivators and saved many mortals. When the situation of the entire 4 islands of Dongyang was completely stable, it was difficult to find ghost cultivators, and there were no ghost cultivators around. He said goodbye and returned to Shenzhou. As expected, Duomingchen Chensu and Tianhai Yufu were missing. Hearing the news of the defeat of the Ghost Emperor, they could not help but flee. As for whether they would hide and take revenge, or go to a more distant place, that was unknown. The Lord of Yanhuang City said that if this person wanted to take revenge on Shenzhou, then they would join forces to capture him. The ghost cultivators are doomed. I believe Duomingchen Chensu will know what to do. Under the strong suppression of the cultivators, the originally chaotic situation soon stabilized. At this time, the remaining ghost cultivators could only flee to other places, hide, or disguise themselves and mix in Shenzhou or Dongyang Four Islands, and no longer dared to practice the way of ghosts and gods. Most cultivators no longer hide in the sects, but are scattered all over the world. Once a ghost cultivator appears, he will basically be found soon. The Dongyang Four Islands began to become full of vitality as Wu Yu thought, and the faces of mortals who had been dead for countless years began to smile. Seeing this place slowly reviving, Wu Yu was in a good mood. He knew that no matter how many ghost cultivators he killed, all he did was merit. When the heart was extremely smooth, the realm of Tao was also leaping, especially when facing the ghost emperor. The fortune was huge. The lord of Yanhuang City and the emperor marshal were still traveling back and forth between Shenzhou and the East China Sea, busy everywhere, while Wu Yu returned to Yanhuang Emperor City. At this time, the brothers of Qishaning were still in Dongguo. Wu Yu had returned to Dongguo before, stayed for a few days, and then returned to Yanhuang Emperor City. Yanhuang Emperor City is much quieter than before, but this is a good thing, which means that most cultivators are hunting down the remnants of ghost cultivators, which is also good for them. Luo Ben really left too many things for him, among which there are 6 priceless treasures of Dao instruments. The only pity is that these 6 Dao instruments all belong to Emperor Yan and the sect master. The formation of each Dao instrument basically costs more than 1,000,000 lives, and there are countless blood and countless wronged souls. Let alone using them, even if they are taken out, Wu Yu himself feels disgusted, so he doesn't know how to deal with these Dao instruments for the time being. If someone needs him to destroy these Dao instruments, I believe he will not refuse. After all, if this kind of thing is spread out, it will only cause greater disasters. Fortunately, there is no difference in the Kanghai Yuankai pills of ghost cultivators. They are all refined with almost the same methods and raw materials. Luo Ben handed over all the property brought by the 6 Yuan Shen waxing realm to Wu Yu. I dare not imagine how much there is. Wu Yu has never been as rich as he is now. Anyway, he counted it several times, but he didn't have the patience to count it every time. It felt like he could never spend all the wealth in his lifetime. Among them, the Kanghai Yuankai pill was worth more than 1 million. From then on, it seemed that he didn't have to worry about money anymore. Wu Yu was even richer than the lord of Yanhuang City. After returning to Yanhuang Emperor City, he first focused on one thing, which was to concentrate on swallowing the Kanghai Yuankai pill and expanding the Purple Mansion Kanghai. In fact, at this time, he already had enough insights and extremely profound transcendence and understanding of the Tao. When expanding, he turned all these insights into the actual Purple Mansion Yuanli and infused it into it, and everything came naturally. A few days later, Wu Yu's strength improved greatly and rushed to the 3rd level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. Although there are many clones at this time, Wu Yu no longer needs to consider the consumption of clones. After reaching a new realm, he directly lets the clones absorb the Kanghai Yuankai pill. Now there are as many as he wants. With the support of enough pills, soon, his thousands of clones will all have the 3rd level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. Even if it is a single one, it is probably not a problem to fight against the 6th level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. The stronger his clone army is, the more terrifying it is. Next, Wu Yu has an even more important thing. In the Battle of the East China Sea, he saw the horror of the Taoist weapons of the 8 Hell Emperors and the strong men of Shenzhou. Even Murongsu, Baishan Mo, and others can use Taoist weapons, why can't he? He now has the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar in his hand, which is extremely suitable for him. In the Battle of the East China Sea, all of Wu Yu's performances were seen by the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar, especially the relationship between Wu Yu and Luo Ben. In the Qishan camp, in his training room, Wu Yu took out the vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar and placed it in the middle. He stood in front of the vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar, surrounded by thousands of his clones. Thousands of people stood in front of the vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar, all of whom looked exactly the same. This put a lot of pressure on the vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar. Wu Yu understood that if he wanted to become the owner of the vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar, there was not much affection to speak of. He would not get many points just because he brought it out of the Yanhuang Palace. The key at this time was whether he could really conquer it. With the current realm, plus the Taoist weapon of the vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar, after success, his strength will definitely be able to leap forward. Most of the time today was spent on conceiving the plot of the new part, and only one chapter was written. 4 chapters tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 514. /U0026 Nben the Kishan camp, no one disturbed him. Wu Yu and the vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar communicated and became familiar with each other. /U0026 and now had a strong desire to climb up, and was full of motivation. Therefore, even if the world was peaceful now, he would still work hard to attack a stronger place. /U0026 nth vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar had tens of thousands of arrays. While studying these arrays, Wu Yu compared them with the Dragon God Ancient array given by Luo Bin. He doubled his thinking. The wisdom and cultivation of the predecessors were left behind through these arrays. /U0026 and when he completed these studies, he made some progress in both his attainments in arrays and his understanding of Tao. /U0026 nth Great Dao was unfathomable. The further he went down, the more he felt that this vast sea would never end. /U0026 NB If you want to become an immortal, I don't know if you need to control the sea of the Great Dao, Wu Yu sighed. /U0026 and when the Yanhuang immortal army basically wiped out most of the ghost cultivators, many of them began to return to the Yanhuang Emperor city. The Yanhuang Emperor city began to become lively. The Shenzhou that survived the catastrophe seemed to be more happy than before. /U0026 and it seems that the Yanhuang city lord and the emperor marshal have returned. /U0026 and Dongyang 4 islands are completely settled. Because of the missing Duoming mountain Zhensu, there are still a few Yuan Shen waxing realm guarding there. /U0026 NBAS for the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar, Wu Yu has basically figured out the magic array Wanjun Fuheian array on the reverse scale. Once this magic array is activated, the power of the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar will be completely released. Although he has not tried it, he still has an idea of the power. /U0026 and now that Zhuiying has also returned to the Endless Demon Sea, he has nothing else to do, so he concentrates on improving himself. /U0026 Nban this day, Wu Yu was still working with the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar, when someone suddenly spoke to him, saying, Wu Yu, I'm back, let's go to the city lord's mansion. /U0026 and Wu Yu was stunned for a moment, then he remembered that it was the voice of the Yanhuang city lord, who was summoning him. /U0026 and should be back soon. /U0026 and without much hesitation, Wu Yu quickly left the Kishan camp and headed towards the city lord's mansion. More and more people came to the inner city, and whenever the Yanhuang immortal army saw Wu Yu, they would look at him with respect. /U0026 and after all, the destruction of the Yanhuang palace and even the final defeat of the Ghost Emperor were related to Wu Yu. /U0026 and nowadays, people basically regard him as the successor of the Yanhuang city lord, and even above Murongsu and others, becoming the first person in this generation of the Yanhuang Emperor city. /U0026 and Bevan many generals were particularly polite to Wu Yu. U0026 and Wu went straight to the city lord's mansion. There was no one in the city lord's mansion. He walked in without being stopped. U0026 and city lord's mansion was very empty, with no one around and full of dust, like an old house in the mountains. Wu Yu walked around for a few times, but he didn't expect the city lord Yanhuang. He thought that the city lord Yanhuang should want him to enter the Yanhuang ancient well, so he didn't hesitate and went down the Yanhuang ancient well directly. U0026 and inside the Yanhuang ancient well, there was still yellow sand, like an ancient world, without flowers, plants, or trees, and except for the wind and sand, there was a dead silence. U0026 and no far away was the ancient city. Wu Yu penetrated the yellow sand and came to the ancient city in a short time. The ancient city was very deserted, but Wu Yu saw from a distance that there was an old man who looked very ordinary, sitting cross-legged on the round platform. It was the city lord Yanhuang. U0026 and by remember that when he fought with the ghost emperor, he was still like an emperor, all golden and shining. Compared with now, the difference is indeed quite large. U0026 and B here you are. I heard that you have mastered a Taoist weapon. When Wu Yu arrived, the lord of Yanhuang city opened his clear and pure eyes, with a gentle smile on his face, staring at Wu Yu. This is an elder. U0026 and Wu Yu nodded and said, it is the Dingai Shenzhen obtained in the Yanhuang palace. U0026 and the lord of Yanhuang city praised, it's not easy. Without the inheritance, the generals of my Yanhuang emperor city can't get the recognition of the Taoist weapon. But you did it? U0026 and of course, Wu Yu also had the help of the wish in the visualization, and in fact, it was also the powerful spiritual power of the Monkey King. Otherwise, he couldn't do it. After all, his real realm is actually only the third level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. U0026 and however, the lord of Yanhuang city came to him today to talk in detail. He asked Wu Yu to sit cross-legged on the round platform. U0026 and Bunder the round platform is the devouring demon mansion. U0026 and city lord said, when you and Lupin went in, it should be that the remaining soul of the devouring sky demon ancestor followed Tianhai Yufu way out and possessed the body of the dead spirit lord. Now that the dead spirit lord has perished, the matter of the devouring sky demon ancestor should be over. To be on the safe side, I estimate that I have to stay here for a while until the wind is calm and the waves are gone. After all, no one knows how many unimaginable possibilities the devouring sky demon ancestor has. U0026 and with Lupin's means, the dead spirit lord was really torn into pieces. The dust of his corpse flowed into the East China Sea and could not be found at all. U0026 and B the egg is in your hand now the Yanhuang city lord asked. U0026 and by guess this is what he is worried about. U0026 and Wu Yu nodded. U0026 and Minglong said that this seemed to be a new body without consciousness. The devouring sky demon ancestor obviously wanted to use this as his flesh and blood body after rebirth. U0026 and however, Minglong also said that if Wu Yu can cultivate to the state of soul transformation, she has a way to make Wu Yu split the second soul, and then Wu Yu can use this egg as the second soul. The aggregation of people will create a clone. If everything goes well, the clone will probably be a god of all things with the talent of the devouring demon mansion. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. U0026 and Wu Yu has seen how terrifying the Ghost Emperor is, so he naturally knows how terrifying his clone will be if he succeeds. U0026 and Bevan though the main body has the inheritance of the Monkey King and has a bright future, Wu Yu still feels that if the second soul clone can succeed, it will even be more terrifying than the main body. U0026 and so, For the time being, it is impossible for him to hand over this egg, even if the Lord of Yanhuang City does it for safety reasons. \U0026N If it weren't for Luo Bin, Wu Yu would have lost this egg by now. \U0026N Sure enough, the Lord of Yanhuang City said, this egg is very important to the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor. Although the ghost emperor is dead now, I am always worried that the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor is not dead. I am worried that when will he reappear and give life to Shenzhou again, it will bring disaster. It will be very dangerous for you to hold this egg. So, what do you plan to do? If you need to keep it, I can help. Otherwise, you have to have a proper way to keep it. \U0026N City Lord Yanhuang doesn't want his things, he just has some worries in his heart. \U0026N Wu Yu thought for a while, and actually it would be fine to keep it with the Lord of Yanhuang City. After all, Wu Yu trusted him, and he would never handle it without authorization. If he left it here, it would really be possible for him to be robbed away. For example, the Duoming Mountain Zhensu was nowhere to be found. \U0026N thought about it for a while, and then handed the egg to the Lord of Yanhuang City. Anyway, he was still a long way from the Yuanshen transformation state, and he might not need it for a long time. \U0026N bit won't even be used in 10 years. \U0026N will 10 years be enough for him to catch up with Luo Bin? \U0026NB I know this thing is useful to you. When you need it, just tell me. I should always be here in Yanhuang Ancient Well in the next few years. \U0026N After taking care of Wu Yu, the Lord of Yanhuang City nodded and said. \U0026N After the matter was settled, he did not let Wu Yu leave first, but said, I have also seen what happened between you and the fairy beast Luo Bin. Wu Yu, do you remember that I once told you, do I want you to succeed me, take charge of the Yanhuang Emperor City, and become the new Yanhuang City Lord? After all, there is no hope of me becoming an immortal, and I will eventually die, and the Yanhuang Emperor City needs to be passed down. \U0026N This matter was said before the decisive battle with the Ghost King. \U0026N Wu Yu was a little flattered and said, this matter is too important. Wu Yu is so virtuous and capable. Besides, I am an outsider. I am afraid I will not be able to convince everyone. Besides, \U0026NB he thought about it carefully. For him in the past, becoming the new Lord of Yanhuang City, guarding the Divine Continent, and becoming the master of the First Force in the future was simply an unimaginable miracle and dream. There was no doubt that Wu Yu had his dream is to control the world and be admired by thousands of people. \U0026N High status and high status. \U0026N But the problem is that after the battle of ghosts and gods, his mind changed, so when he heard the appointment from Lord Yanhuang City, his first thought was to refuse. \U0026N Being the Lord of Yanhuang City, I really didn't dare to think about it before. This is definitely a glorious ancestral and unimaginable glory. \U0026N But now, he has other worries. \U0026NB Luo Bin told me about the wider world. \U0026N When he saw the hesitation in Wu Yu's expression and words, the Lord of Yanhuang City chuckled, as if he had expected it, and said, actually, I understand your thoughts, and you don't need to bear any burden. You and I have both done it before. I underestimated you. After experiencing the battle between ghosts and gods, I can see clearly that you don't seem to be very outstanding in talent, but you are always amazing. Therefore, your future should be in a broader world, not just in the East. Shenzhou Yanhuang Emperor City. If I ask you to succeed Yanhuang City Lord in the future, it will limit your growth. At least now, you seem to have a bright future. U0026NB didn't expect the Lord of Yanhuang City to be so considerate. U0026NB easily knew what Wu Yu was thinking. U0026NB If I stay in Dongsheng Shenzhou as the Lord of Yanhuang City, I have my duties and responsibilities, and I have to protect Yanhuang Emperor City. In this case, it may be difficult for me to realize my real dream of cultivating Taoism and becoming an immortal. Moreover, my future, you should not stay in Dongsheng Divine Continent and dominate here, but you should pursue the wider world, go to this 10-year appointment, look for Luo Bin, find her, and you must truly be worthy of her. U0026 After the battle between ghosts and gods, Wu Yu has become very determined. He has never been as eager as he is now to have the qualification to have real face-to-face communication with her as soon as possible. U0026 From what Ming Long and Luo Bin said, Wu Yu knew that Dongsheng Shenzhou was just one of the worlds, and there must be a wider place on the other side of the sea, where Ming Long and Luo Bin were both from. U0026 Which one do you choose between succeeding as the city lord, or leaving the divine continent and chasing the never-ending immortal road? The Yanhuang city lord did not put any pressure on him, but asked his choice with a smile. Of course Wu Yu did not hesitate. He said, I want to see how vast this world is. U0026 This world is called Jambu world. U003C/C Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 515. The world of Jambudvipa, where does it come from and where is it going? No one knows how wide it is or how long it lasts. Maybe Minglong knows a lot, but she never likes to talk about things about the world of Jambu. In her words, the world is vast and endless. When Wu Yu was still as weak as an ant, the incomparably vast world would only increase his powerlessness and suppress his determination. After all, small people will feel helpless even in the vast sea. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. However, Wu Yu has made a lot of progress now and is no longer an ant. There is no need for Ming Long to talk about things in the outside world, only someone will tell Wu Yu. This person is the Lord of Yanhuang City. After hearing Wu Yu's decision, he smiled faintly and said, How vast is this world? At least I know more than you do. Are you interested? Of course, Wu Yu said impatiently. He now knows about Dongsheng Shenzhou and the world of Yanfu. Maybe they are two different worlds, maybe they are two different continents. He is not particularly clear about the details. The Lord of Yanhuang City said, Actually, I have also wandered there before. Now that I have nothing to do, I will let you prepare yourself. Otherwise, it will be quite dangerous to go there rashly and not know anything. Wu Yu did not interrupt, but waited quietly for his story. The Lord of Yanhuang City raised his head slightly and said with emotion, Listen carefully. What you know is Dongsheng Shenzhou and the 4 Dongyang Islands in the east of Shenzhou. Shenzhou is indeed very big, and the surrounding sea is also huge. It's very vast, and there's no end to it. But the world we live in is not just that big. The name of this world was passed down in extremely ancient times, probably for millions of years. These two words, it's Yamfu. Yanfu, what does it mean? Wu Yu was a little strange. The two words seemed to have no relationship at all. However, he did hear that what Yanhuang City Lord meant was that this endless world was called the Jambu world, and Dongsheng Shenzhou was in this Jambu world. It seems to mean human world. As we practice Taoism, we know that there are heavenly palaces above, 10,000 hells below, and the world of Jambudvipa is in the middle, which is the human world. At first, Wu Yu thought these two words were a bit awkward to pronounce, but he didn't expect them to mean the human world. After explaining, the Lord of Yanhuang City continued, the world of Yanfu is vast and boundless, including land, seas, and many wonderful and mysterious places left over from ancient times. This world has a long history, and no one knows its origin. How ancient it is, perhaps only in some secret realms and mysterious places can we know how many cultivators have once dominated the world. He looked at Wu Yu and said, "You think Dongsheng Divine Continent is extremely vast, but in fact within the known range of Jamfa world, Dongsheng Divine Continent is not big at all. It is the most vast in Jamfa world. It is an endless sea. In the sea, there are fish, shrimps, and sea beasts. Countless monsters are reborn in the sea and occupy the sea areas. There are countless people. For example, the fairy beasts and dragons were the number one overlord of the sea areas of Jambu world before the appearance of the heaven-devouring demon ancestor. No one can compare. Presumably Luobin is actually still in the sea somewhere in the Jambu world. Although the Shenlong clan suffered heavy losses, their background is definitely there. Even now, they are probably still a big player in the vast sea. For Wu Yu, the vast sea beyond the divine continent was endless. He had no idea in which direction he had to go to find Luobin, nor how to find her. The Lord of Yanhuang City continued, "Although the sea is huge, the top forces in the Jamfa world are not in the sea. We want to call the Jamfa world Tianxia, which means under the sky. There are many Dongsheng Divine Continent. Practitioners actually don't know that the land in the world today is far larger than the Dongsheng Shenzhou. People say, in the world of Jambu, apart from the endless sea, there are a total of 19 continents in the world. 19 continents. Dongsheng Shenzhou is one of the 19 continents. If the other 18 continents are as big as Dongsheng Shenzhou, then the so-called world, the human world, is indeed too vast. If I knew this in detail a long time ago, I would be really stressed." The Lord of Yanhuang City said, "The land of Jamfa world is divided into 19 continents. 3 of them are independently established. Dongsheng Divine Continent is one of them. Dongsheng Divine Continent is in the easternmost part and is the farthest from Jamfa world. There are also the 2 continents are located in the extreme west and the extreme north respectively, and have little communication with the central land of the Jambu world. The remaining 16 states are all gathered on the central land of the Jambu world. Even if they are partially divided by the sea, they are actually very close to each other. Basically, these 16 continents are completely gathered together. People call this central land the Yanhuang Ancient Territory. Yanhuang Ancient Territory. Wu Yu has heard of this name, but he doesn't know who said it, but it's very familiar. The world of Yanfu, the ancient realm of Yanhuang, Dongsheng Shenzhou. He finally understood the relationship between the 3. Among them, the Jambu world refers to the human world, including land, seas, and secret realms. Among them, there are a total of 19 continents on the land, 3 of which are far away from the core. Dongsheng Shenzhou is one of them, and the other 16 continents are gathered on a huge central continent. That central continent is the Yanhuang Ancient Territory. The ancient Yanhuang domain has 16 continents, which is 16 times larger than the Dongsheng Shenzhou. At this moment, Wu Yu really understood that in comparison, the Dongsheng Shenzhou, which he once thought was boundless, was obviously small compared to the ancient Yanhuang domain. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. You should be able to guess that the sea is very scattered. Wherever there is a strong spiritual energy, there are demons. The ancient Yanhuang domain has a stable spiritual energy and is the most prosperous place in the world. The 16 continents are fighting for hegemony, and that is the core of the world. The Dongsheng Shenzhou is in a remote place in the east. For countless years, there has been little real communication with the ancient Yanhuang domain, so it has long been in decline and has become an abandoned island. The so-called human world, the ancient Yanhuang domain, is the real human world. In other words, the Dongsheng Shenzhou, which Wu Yu thought was very prosperous, turned out to be the declining place of this world of Yanfu. It is isolated from the world, and the battlefield and stage are far less than that of the ancient Yanhuang domain. The degree of spiritual energy is obviously more surging in the ancient Yanhuang domain with 16 continents. The huge Dongsheng Shenzhou has top forces such as Yanhuang Emperor City and Shushan Immortal section. Wu Yu never thought that this place would be a declining place, so he still felt a certain gap in his heart. But he could bear it. After all, from the strength of Luo Bin, it can be seen that the outside world is obviously stronger than Dongsheng Shenzhou. Otherwise, how can it be called the Central Land? When Wu Yu first saw such a vast Shushan when he went to Shushan, he was shocked. How could he have thought that Shushan was just an ordinary sect in this declining place? I have been to the Yanhuang ancient domain. There is really nothing comparable here. They know the existence of Dongsheng Shenzhou, but do you know what they call Dongsheng Shenzhou? Yanhuang City Lord recalled what happened in the past and asked with some emotion. Of course Wu Yu didn't know. Seeing Wu Yu's curiosity, the Lord of Yanhuang City laughed at himself and said, "They call this place the Demon Sealing Continent. This demon, needless to say, you also know who it is, right? Obviously, it is the demon ancestor devouring the sky. The central land of the Yanhuang ancient domain regards this place as a place that exists to seal the demon ancestor devouring the sky. The demon sealing continent. It sounds like Dongsheng Shenzhou is indeed an insignificant place for the Yanhuang ancient domain. Now, Wu Yu finally has an understanding of the whole world. He is no longer a frog in the well. Now he has enough willpower and the determination to pursue Luo Bin. So when the huge outline of this world is presented in front of him, he has no fear in his heart, nor does he feel powerless because of his insignificance, but a magnificent determination. This further inspired Wu Yu to want to go to this central land to venture out. Only there can he see a farther road. Obviously, Ming Long came from there. She never said it because it was her sad place. As a native of the Yanhuang ancient domain, she would definitely not think that the Yanhuang ancient domain is big, but only that the Dongsheng Shenzhou is small. Do you know what the biggest difference between the Dongsheng Shenzhou and the Yanhuang ancient domain is? Asked the Yanhuang city lord. Land size. Number of strong people, Wu Yu asked. The Yanhuang city lord smiled faintly and said, "The most accurate answer is that there are still people in the Yanhuang ancient domain who hope to become immortals. Within 10,000 years, there are people who really become immortals, while in the Dongsheng Shenzhou, cultivating Taoism to become immortals is actually just a fantasy, which is simply impossible. The Taixu Saint Lord and I are the people with the highest realm here, but in fact, we are still too far away from becoming immortals. For the Dongsheng Shenzhou, immortality is an unattainable dream, but for the Yanhuang ancient domain, it is possible to really realize it." This answer excited Wu Yu all of a sudden. What he wants is to become an immortal, and what he wants is immortality. Since the Dongsheng Shenzhou is an impossible place, then he must go to the Yanhuang ancient domain. From this moment on, he had made up his mind. No matter how difficult it was, he would do it. Not only for the sake of meeting Luo Bin one day, but also for his own great wish. Immortality. In this way, Dongsheng Shenzhou is really a remote and lonely place. The ancient Yanhuang domain and the central land are the core of the human world. Wu Yu's eyes burst into a blazing light. Seeing this light, the lord of Yanhuang city was a little shocked. He realized that Wu Yu was so eager to become an immortal. Perhaps, this is why he has such a strong mental perseverance. No wonder this young man can grow to this point. However, becoming an immortal, there are only a few in 10,000 years. It's not that easy. He didn't want to hit Wu Yu, so he didn't say more about this. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 516. Are the strong men from the Yanhuang ancient region stronger than you? How much stronger are they? How do they compare with Luo Bin? Wu Yu couldn't help but ask. He didn't have much idea about the powerful people up to Yanhuang city lord. The lord of Yanhuang City laughed dumbly and said, "The Yanhuang ancient territory is the core of the human world. Since ancient times, there have been countless amazing and talented people, leaving countless legacy, possessing more majestic spiritual energy, more top-notch geniuses, and countless treasures. The resources for cultivating Taoism, including countless magic weapons, Taoist weapons, fairy spirits, and elixirs, and even the magic arrays that have been circulated are countless times that of the divine continent. Although we are considered the strongest in the divine continent, in the Yanhuang ancient territory, we are indeed. It's not really a role. Compared with the strong people there, we are really far behind. We can only be regarded as cultivators who will not be bullied at will. If the Yanhuang ancient territory was a capital city, then Dongsheng Shenzhou was a remote countryside. Seeing that Wu Yu still didn't quite understand, the lord of Yanhuang City told him in detail, "My current state is the 4th level of the Yuan Shen transformation realm. My brother Di Yi is the 3rd level of the Yuan Shen transformation realm, and Tianxia Sword Immortal is also the 3rd level. 3rd level. Tianxian Sword Immortal and Tianji Sword Immortal are at the 2nd level of Yuan Shen transformation realm, while Qiang, Yuheng, Yaoguang, etc. are all at the 1st level of Yuan Shen transformation realm. There are less than 30 people who have cultivated to the realm of Yuan Shen. If they don't break through the realm of Yuan Shen, they basically have no hope of becoming immortals. However, in the Yanhuang ancient territory, there are many strong people who have broken through the realm of Yuanshen's transformation and reached the 3 disaster realm. The 3 disaster Taoist realm is the highest realm. It is said that in this realm, one has to survive 3 heavenly and earthly disasters, which are heavenly tribulations, and one must succeed in the Taoist realm and have a complete Tao. Only in this way is it possible to finally survive the great catastrophe of becoming an immortal and ascend to the immortal class. The immortal beast Luo's concubine should be at the peak of the 3 catastrophes Dao realm, but I don't know which catastrophe she was in when she was injured. Being able to survive tribulations is at least the 3rd level of the Dao realm or above. This level of strength is rare in Yanhuang ancient times. The domain is also top-notch. I believe she will be quite famous in the Yanhuang ancient territory. However, the information in Shenzhou is closed, and there are too few strong people I know. At first, I was wrong. If the lord of Yanhuang City said this, Wu Yu had a certain understanding of their realm and strength, and the contrast between Dongsheng Divine Continent and Yanhuang ancient territory was also particularly clear. In the Yanhuang ancient territory, there are many powerful Taoists who are pursuing the immortal way, but it is difficult for the lord of Yanhuang City to reach the realm of Taoism. I didn't expect Luo Bin to be so powerful. She didn't tell Wu Yu her identity. Obviously her status in the Shenlong clan was not low. The gap between Dongsheng Shenzhou and Yanhuang ancient territory is not the gap between 16 and 1. For example, strong men of the Yanhuang city lords level are probably very common in the Yanhuang ancient territory. Wu Yu is currently at the 3rd level of the Kanghai realm of Zifu. If he wants to become an immortal, he must first rush into the Yuan Shen transformation realm, and then break through to achieve the 3 catastrophe realm. If you think about it, you will know that even if there is hope, it will take a long time. Regarding the Yanhuang ancient territory, Wu Yu finally understood something and confirmed his target. If he thought about it carefully, with his current strength, he would probably be able to barely protect himself when he went to the Yanhuang ancient territory. It is definitely impossible to have the same atmosphere and reputation as here in Dongsheng Shenzhou. Speaking of this, the lord of Yanhuang city smiled and said, "Actually, there is one thing you may not have thought of. Our Yanhuang Emperor city is actually very involved with the Yanhuang ancient territory. In other words, we exist because of the Yanhuang ancient territory." Wu Yu was confused. However, one is the Yanhuang ancient territory and the other is the Yanhuang Emperor city. You can tell with your knees that there must be a relationship between the two. In the Yanhuang ancient territory, there is a power in the center that occupies the three continents. It is the top force in the Yanhuang ancient territory. It is called the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. The Yanhuang emperor city is the people of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. After the god sealed the swallow after the heavenly demon ancestor, it was built in Dongsheng Shenzhou to guard the heaven-devouring demon ancestor. In other words, in fact, our Yanhuang emperor city came from the Yanhuang ancient territory and was a city built by the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. To this day, it belongs to the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. The relationship between the Yanhuang emperor city and the Yanhuang ancient kingdom is a bit like the relationship between the Tongtian sword sect you once stayed in and the Xuanhuan Immortal section. Wu Yu never expected that there was such a relationship. Furthermore, the Yanhuang ancient kingdom knows that they have a foundation and inheritance in Dongsheng divine continent. Therefore, even if Dongsheng divine continent is remote, they actually regard it as their fourth continent. It's just that this is a place where demons are sealed, and it's been too long and no one wants to come here. Occasionally, I still use talismans to communicate with people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. The ancient Yanhuang kingdom. Is this the largest power a country? Wu Yu asked doubtfully. There are 3,000 immortal kingdoms in Shenzhou. For Wu Yu, institutions like the state are established by mortals. After rising to the level of cultivating Taoism, there is no such low-level structure as the state. Instead, sects are the main ones. The most classic one is Xuanhuan Immortal sect and Shangyuan Daozong. To practice Taoism, of course the sect is suitable. Therefore, in Wu Yu's heart, the status of the country was extremely low, and the Immortal Cultivation sect was far above it. Even Yanhuang Emperor City is actually in the form of a sect. The 3,000 immortal kingdoms combined are not as good as one second-rate sect. Countries are established by mortals, such as Suqiao, and Wu Yu understands Suqiao's operating and ruling model best. In the state apparatus, personal force is not a symbol of the Supreme Master. For example, Wu Yu does not need to be the strongest person in Suqiao, because power can limit force, but in a sect, the leader must be the strongest. Strong, otherwise prestige cannot be established. The Lord of Yanhuang City obviously knew what Wu Yu was confused about. He couldn't help laughing and said, "You are young after all, it is normal that you don't understand. The Yanhuang ancient country is an extremely ancient force inherited in the Yanhuang ancient domain. It is said that it appeared after the birth of the Yanhuang ancient domain. It has at least 10 yuan time and at least more than 1 million years of history. It is said that in its most glorious time, even the entire Yanhuang ancient domain was under the rule of the Yanhuang ancient country. Even the name of the Yanhuang ancient domain was taken because of the Yanhuang ancient country. Now there is only 3 continents left, which is also the result of the rise of other forces. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content later. The ancient country of Yanhuang is not at the same level as the mortal fairyland. It is an imperial dynasty of immortal cultivation, and its scale is larger than you can imagine. In fact, you can see the prototype of this imperial dynasty in the Yanhuang imperial city. This is an empire of immortal cultivation that is completely militarized, with strict hierarchy, clear rewards and punishments, and strict discipline. It manages the cultivators in the same way as the army. The biggest advantage of this is that it is easy to manage, and everyone has the possibility of rising. As long as they make meritorious deeds, they will have huge gains. Under the militarized management, the legions of the ancient country of Yanhuang it has the most terrifying combat power, which is difficult for ordinary sects to possess. After all, the sect management is lazy, and it is largely based on the inheritance of master and apprentice, which is not as efficient as military management. You were born in the mortal palace, and many principles are the same. If you have the opportunity to come to this ancient country of Yanhuang, you will understand how domineering the spiritual thoughts and combat power of a centralized immortal cultivation dynasty will be. Wu Yu used to lead soldiers to fight. He certainly knows that the combat power of the army, under the condition of similar individual qualities, must definitely exceed the groups of martial arts ruffians. A disciplined army of 100 people with clear rewards and punishments, and martial arts people with similar qualities, but scattered and unmanaged, and each with their own selfishness, Wu Yu can even wipe out the opponent. The premise is that the soldiers absolutely obey themselves, and they have enough authority. Speaking of this, Wu Yu couldn't help but be shocked by this ancient country of Yanhuang. If this is really the case, then this ancient country of Yanhuang is too terrible. The Yanhuang Emperor City is just a city they built outside. In fact, the management of Yanhuang Emperor City is not strict at all. After all, the Yanhuang Immortal Army was recruited, and there is no too strict punishment system. The Yanhuang Immortal Army is very free and can only be regarded as semi-military management. The Yanhuang City Lords is the immortal dynasty called Yanhuang Ancient Country, which is completely military management. It is probably similar to the mortal army that Wu Yu once managed. Because mortals have a limit to their combat power, they will burst out stronger attack power when they concentrate on fighting. Therefore, many methods are actually played to the extreme. If this extreme is reflected in the immortal army, it will really make people wake up and feel thrilling. It is actually correct for you to come to Yanhuang Emperor City from Shushan, because only I can give you the opportunity to join the top force in Yanhuang Ancient Domain, Yanhuang Ancient Country after you go to Yanhuang Ancient Domain. With your personality and past experience, I can really believe that you can definitely shine there. After all, you are more familiar with what a country and an army are than others. The only difference is that Yanhuang Ancient Country is stronger and the army is stronger, but there is actually no difference in essence. The Yanhuang City Lord is very optimistic about him. Indeed, Wu Yu has been familiar with military books since he was a child, and he is really first-rate in leading troops to fight. The only thing that is not so refreshing is that in such an environment, the people above you have absolute authority. Once someone goes against their wishes, as your commander, you have the right to kill you. The Lord of Yanhuang City is a little worried about this. Wu Yu actually understands this better. There are also many levels in the legions of mortals. There are indeed many ways to punish those disobedient soldiers. If some are really difficult to manage and speak rudely, Wu Yu has also directly thrown people into prison. The problem is that this Yanhuang Ancient Domain is so far away. When will I have the opportunity to go there? Wu Yu smiled, because the Lord of Yanhuang City said that he seemed to be able to go there. Unexpectedly, when he asked this question, the Lord of Yanhuang City smiled and said, "If you go to the ancient country of Yanhuang now, you are indeed not strong enough. It is very dangerous to go to such an unfamiliar place. However, there is only one chance, and it is already here. If you really want to leave Shenzhou, it may be smoother. This is the only chance." What? Wu Yu didn't understand. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 517. Wu Yu didn't understand the last few words spoken by the Yanhuang City Lord. If you want to leave Shenzhou more smoothly, maybe this is just one chance? If he no longer wants to succeed the Lord of Yanhuang City in the future and stays in Dongsheng Divine Continent, there seems to be nothing to do. Moreover, there seems to be no opponent in Divine Continent that can make him aware of the life and death crisis. Therefore, if he goes to the Yanhuang Ancient Territory now, there will be no problem. Anyway, you have to leave early or leave late. Seeing Wu Yu's confusion, the Lord of Yanhuang City explained to him, if you have to travel across the ocean to the Yanhuang Ancient Territory on your own, first of all, the sea area between here and the Yanhuang ancient territory is extremely vast, and there are all kinds of horrors in the sea area. Storms are more raging than the whirlpools in the East China Sea. Even if you know the direction correctly, you can easily wander into many dangerous situations and lose your way. If you reach some dangerous places, you may be trapped in them for the rest of your life. You can't get out. After all, there are many mysterious places left over from ancient times in the sea area. This is the reason why many people died in the sea, so the people in Dongsheng Shenzhou don't know how huge the outside world is because the dangerous sea blocks them. He continued, the natural dangers in the sea are only one of them. There is a greater danger, which is the demons in the sea. The demons in the sea are often numerous, some are strong and some are weak. Most of them may be small fish and shrimps, and they are not your opponent. But as you move forward in the vast sea, you may stray into the territory of some terrifying demons. Once you are targeted, especially some demons in the form of souls, they will not let you, their prey, leave at all. After all, they are in the vast sea. And it was not easy to see a cultivator. Generally speaking, sea monsters don't like cultivators or land monsters to enter the sea, because they think it is their territory. The sea is too big, even bigger than the Yanhuang ancient territory. Countless times bigger. In the sea, it is difficult for ordinary monks to fight monsters, and most of them are vengeful. There are so many monsters, no matter how small they are, they will drive you crazy. In this way, the sea area is indeed dangerous, especially the sea area leading to the Yanhuang ancient territory. Obviously, this is also the huge reason for isolating the connection between Shenzhou and Yanhuang ancient territory. Otherwise, most people here in Shenzhou would not know the existence of Yanhuang ancient territory. All in all, if you choose to cross the sea to go to the Yanhuang ancient territory, it will be quite dangerous. There is at least half a mortality rate, and a small half will be lost in the sea. The possibility of reaching the Yanhuang ancient territory is less than 1/10. So miserable from what it sounds like, it's obvious that you have to at least wait until you can defeat the Yuan Shen transformation realm before you can set off for that place. However, it's not easy to defeat the Yuan Shen transformation realm. But, there is a shortcut. City Lord Yanhuang hit the point. Today, he was so attentive that he almost opened a door to a new world for Wu Yu, allowing the whole world to be truly displayed before his eyes. Wu Yu asked impatiently, "What is the shortcut?" The Lord of Yanhuang City said, "You are lucky. When you meet this shortcut will only appear once in 50 years. Of course, if it can be done, it will be much easier to go to the Yanhuang ancient territory. If it can't be done, then you can only it's the old way." Wu Yu and other city lords explained in detail. The other party said, "There is a mysterious realm in the Yanfu world. So far, no one can explain clearly what it is. Even people from the Yanhuang ancient domain probably don't know the secret of this mysterious realm. This mystery, the name of the realm is Teiku Immortal Road. This Teiku Immortal Road, with such a name, is it the road to immortality?" Wu Yu couldn't help but ask. That's not the case. However, maybe we can think so. Who knows? The Teiku Immortal Road exists in the world of Jambu, but no one can find it exactly where it is. However, every 50 years, the Teiku Immortal roads will appear. Of course, gates leading to this ancient immortal road will appear in all parts of the world of Yanfu. Naturally, the Yanhuang ancient domain is the most densely populated. There may be more than a few hundred of them. Throughout history, they have appeared every time. The locations are all fixed, so the gates of Teiku Immortal Road will be occupied here in the Yanhuang ancient territory, and people will be arranged to enter. Of course, there will also be some in the sea area. There must be hundreds of them in total, but the sea area is too big. It is even possible that the gates of the Teiku Immortal Road are opened in some places without being discovered. Having said all this, I am actually telling you that here in Dongsheng Shenzhou, the gates of the Taku Immortal Road will be opened every time, although only the gates of the Taku Immortal Road are opened. 1. But it's still there, right? There are hundreds of them in Yanhuang ancient territory, but there is only one here in Shenzhou, which is indeed a bit less. No wonder Wu Yu has never heard of this ancient immortal road. After all, the number is too small. A mysterious realm can actually open its door in the entire Jambu world and create a passage to this mysterious realm. So in what form does this mysterious realm exist? Is it a world that overlaps with the world of Jambu? Wu Yu told the Yanhuang city lord about his doubts. The lord of Yanhuang city said, "How does the Taku Immortal Road exist? Even the strong men of the Yanhuang ancient territory probably can't answer this question for you." Naturally, I don't know either. When the gate of the Taku Immortal Road opens, can I enter this gate and then go out through other gates and go directly to the Yanhuang ancient realm? Wu Yu guessed and asked. The lord of Yanhuang city smiled and said, "That's the truth, but it's obviously not that simple. First of all, each gate of the Taku Immortal Road can only allow one person to enter. If you enter, the gate will disappear immediately. It means that other gates will disappear immediately when someone enters. Moreover, there is no exit gate inside Taku Immortal Road. When you enter, this mysterious realm will immediately bring a talisman to your hand. Here, when you crush this talisman, you will be sent back to the original place. For example, you will return to Shenzhou." Wu Yu exclaimed, "It's so magical, why does it seem like someone is controlling everything inside, like a game?" That's true. It's a pity that no one has found the person who manipulated the game for so many years. Maybe the ancient magic circle is controlling it. The profound magic circle has unlimited possibilities. How do I go to the Yanhuang ancient territory? Could it be that I steal other people's talismans, crush them, and then I can go to the Yanhuang ancient territory? Wu Yu asked. The lord of Yanhuang city nodded and said, "You are indeed very smart. You can understand everything at once. This is what you have to do. Although I have not tried it, different talismans should represent different locations. Whether you can succeed in the end depends on you. Try." However, this is actually not easy, because if you lose the talisman, you will be trapped in the mysterious realm forever, unable to come out, so everyone will regard the talisman as their most important thing and always be prepared. If your life is in danger or you have to withdraw, you will be crushed immediately and you will not be given a chance to snatch it. Everyone can stay in Taku Immortal Road for 1 year. When the time is up, the talisman will automatically break into pieces and send the person away. But if there is no talisman in hand at this time, most people will think that they will snatch the new ones after 50 years. It may be in the hands of people, but in fact, over the years, every time a new batch comes in, they have never encountered the people who came in 50 years ago and lost the talismans. It is basically certain that they have disappeared. So, you must leave with the talisman within a year, and you'd better grab it from the hands of someone from the Yanhuang ancient territory. If you can't bear it, exchange it with him, so that you can arrive smoothly. The Yanhuang ancient territory. It sounds a bit complicated, but if you think about it carefully, it's nothing more than finding someone from the Yanhuang ancient region, snatching his talisman and crushing it, that's all. It is indeed a simple and efficient method. As for how difficult it will be to implement, we can only wait and see at that time. After all, you don't know the opponent's strength. If you are weak, you can use the immobilization technique to solve it. But if you are strong, it will be difficult. As long as you don't restrict the opponent to death, the opponent can crush the talisman and go out directly. We call this talisman the Immortal Talisman. You must be curious as to why I know so much about the Immortal Road in this remote place, right? The Lord of Yanhuang City smiled kindly. Wu Yu nodded. Because, when I was young, I went in there. Really? However, there was no way to go to the Yanhuang ancient territory in this way at that time. The real trip to the Yanhuang ancient territory was only after the Yuan Shen transformed into a state. Moreover, the journey was extremely dangerous and almost killed oneself. In those few years, people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom heard that because of my identity, I was sent back to Dongsheng Shenzhou and allowed to continue to guard Yanhuang Emperor City. After all, we need people to watch over here. I see. The Taku Immortal Road is indeed a way to save time and energy, but Wu Yu was curious, and he asked, although it has little to do with me going to the Yanhuang ancient territory, what is in the Taku Immortal Road? Every time there are people vying to get in. The Lord of Yanhuang City sighed, this question is the hardest to answer, because it is said that every time you enter Taku Immortal Road, the situation is different. It is a very magical place. Sometimes, as soon as you enter, you can find that everything is different. It's a treasure. Sometimes when you go in, you find that there are dangers and disasters everywhere, and there is no benefit at all. Sometimes when you go in, you arrive at an environment that has no end, and sometimes it feels like you have arrived in an ancient era. Sometimes, it's like, there may be some incredible opponents and forces like this Yanhuang ancient well, but generally speaking, the possibility of harvesting in the Taku Immortal Road is relatively high. The Taku Immortal Road is a place full of uncertainties. Sometimes after opening it, you can easily get top-notch treasures if you go in. There are even ferries everywhere, or ancient battlefields. I heard that after some people entered, I easily obtained dozens of Taoist tools and brought them out. I have also heard that if they were sometimes turned on, they would be directly devastated by extreme natural power after entering. Thousands of people entered, and at least 200 people died directly. Others were pinched. I broke the ancient immortal talisman and escaped. Wu Yu was stunned when he heard this. There is such a place. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 518. There is no certainty that Taku Immortal Road will appear in it. It may be a valuable treasure that is rare in the entire world and can be obtained easily, but it may also be a disaster that will cause extinction once it is entered. The Taku Immortal Road has a long history, and everything has happened. It is even rumored that many all gods were born in the Taku Immortal Road and appeared in the world of Jamfu. In the world of Jamfu, from ancient times to the present, the Taku Immortal Road has been opened countless times, creating many heroic figures, and even successfully becoming immortals and ascending to the immortal class, but also killing many peerless geniuses. Anyway, even today, countless years later, the Lord of Yanhuang City cannot guarantee Wu Yu what he will encounter after entering the Taku Immortal Road. Anyway, in the Divine Continent, it is normal for many things that you think are incredible to happen in the Taku Immortal Road. However, to be on the safe side, I still recommend that you don't wander around after entering, and concentrate on looking for things that can be captured. Ancient Immortal Talisman. Wu Yu nodded. He has to go to that magnificent world on his own. The Lord of Yanhuang City will definitely not be able to send him there specially. After all, this journey is not easy for him, and now that the Divine Continent is in turmoil, he cannot leave yet, so if he wants to, if you go early, this is the best way. When will the door to the Taku Immortal Road be opened? Wu Yu asked. He definitely needs some time to prepare. Once in 50 years, it should take more than half a year. However, in fact, this matter is not as easy as you think. Whether you can enter the Taku Immortal Road still needs to be screened. Filter. Wu Yu was startled for a moment. He thought that the Lord of Yanhuang City could let him in directly. The Lord of Yanhuang City smiled helplessly and said, "The main thing is that there is only one quota every 50 years, so this matter is not my own." The entrance to the ancient Immortal Road was discovered in Shenzhou a long time ago. After so many years of competition, a rule has been formed that everyone can believe in. That is to hold a huge fierce battle, and the winner will finally get the place to enter the Taku Immortal Road. This fierce battle is about to happen once in 50 years. Come on, in fact, if it hadn't been for the Ghost Emperor incident, Shenzhou would have been in full swing about this matter by now. This time is considered a special situation, so not many people have paid attention to it so far. Wu Yu thought about it carefully, and he finally remembered. In fact, he had read the records. Just half a year later, the super sects in the entire Divine Continent would unite to hold a grand event called the Shenzhou Heavenly Dragon War. Once in 50 years, he just didn't know that this Shenzhou Tianlong battle actually corresponded to the opportunity to enter this ancient immortal road. The Lord of Yanhuang City said, the period of time when the Taku Immortal Road was first discovered may have been tens of thousands of years. Every time the Taku Immortal Road appeared, there would be a bloody dispute. Every time, it caused chaos in the Divine Continent and harmed the harmony. Therefore, the gods, the sects on the continent, have jointly planned this grand event, and the final winner will have the opportunity to enter the Taku Immortal Road. It started as a competition between the strongest sects and lasted for a long time. Later, people found that it was difficult to gain anything in the Taku Immortal Road, and the Yanhuang ancient territory had already changed the rules and asked us to change the rules, so the rules were changed to participants participating in the Shenzhou Tianlong War. Many of them are over 50 years old. In fact, this grand event has evolved into a battle of the top geniuses since then. It's normal for young people to fight with each other, and it doesn't hurt the harmony between the sects, so it has been used. Today, whether it is the Divine Continent, the Yanhuang ancient territory, or even the sea monsters, they basically choose to stay in the Taku Immortal Road. Before the gate appears, the top geniuses in an area are determined and qualified to enter the Taku Immortal Road. The same is true for our Divine Continent. So, every time the Taku Immortal Road appears now, the ones who enter are basically the top geniuses. If you can enter, the people you have to compete for are hundreds or thousands of people, definitely 50 people in the entire Yanfa world. The most elite being under the age of 10. The level of genius in the Yanhuang ancient territory far exceeds that of Shenzhou. Your current combat power should be considered a lower level, so there may not be many opponents to choose from. Of course, it will depend on your luck and means. If you want to enter Shenzhou, you still have to follow the rules and become the strongest genius in less than 50 years. This age is a very rigid rule, so some people will be unlucky, because they may finally wait for this day, but they are already over 50, or 60 years old, etc. But this matter depends on luck, and entering the Taku Immortal. In fact, the road may not be rewarding, it is just an adventure, so in fact, here in Shenzhou, the Shenzhou Tianlong War has evolved into a battle for honor among the major sections regarding the quota of the Taku Immortal Road. I actually don't care much about it. What people really want is the title of number one in the world, which is also a way for major sects to establish their prestige. After all, when there are no external enemies, there will be conflicts between Yanhuang Emperor City, Shushan Immortal Sect, etc. For example, Shenzhenjiao has been practicing Taoism for nearly 60 years now. The last time he was 10 years old, he was not lucky enough to participate in such a battle. The luckiest ones are those in their 40s. They are qualified to participate in the war and have more than 20 years of training time than Wu Yu. It is said that the Yanhuang ancient territory also has such rules, and Shenzhou is just following them. Although there are problems with the rules, it makes sense that so many people have not changed them. All demons and monsters are eligible to participate in the Divine Continent's Heavenly Dragon Battle. After so many years of competition, the Endless Demonic Sea, Yanhuang Emperor City, Shushan Immortal Sect, Shangyuan Dao Sect, and Tianyi Clan can each send 3 people to participate in the Divine Continent's Heavenly Dragon Battle. There are 15 people in total, such as Martial God Tianmen, Tian Thunder Palace and Gasu Fairy Peak, etc. There are also 15 people in total, and there are 2 places, but we have discussed it and directly given it to some ordinary sections. A total of 32 of the top geniuses or people without sex appeared in the battle, and one person was finally determined. To this day, for most people in Shenzhou, this is actually a contest of face and honor. I still don't have the same desire for Taku Immortal Road as you do now, but they will still compete for the first place. The only condition is that as long as they are under 50 years old, Wu Yu, Murongsu and others are actually at a slight disadvantage, because some are not as talented as them, but after practicing for more than 10 years, their realm is likely to be higher than them. But rules are rules, so if Wu Yu wants to get first place, it will actually be quite difficult, and this includes strong demons. 32 people in total. I have thought about it in Yanhuang Emperor City. I will give you a place, Murongsu a place, and another place for the captain who came first in the last Imperial War. He happens to be 49 years old. He is very lucky and has a higher level than you, reaching the 8th level of the Zifukanghai realm. He already has the realm and strength to be a Yanhuang general, but he has not been assigned a position yet. There may be many talents recommended by other sects, similar to this number 1 in the Imperial War. Maybe they are not as outstanding as Wu Yu, Murongsu, and others, but after all, they have practiced for nearly 20 years more. If Wu Yu reaches their age, he may be stronger than the Yanhuang city lord. But rules are rules and must be followed. Wu Yu also realized that it was not easy to enter the Taku Immortal Road. I calculated the time. You have about 7 months to prepare. After some time, the impact of the War of Ghosts and Gods will slowly pass away, and the storm about the Shenzhou Tianlong War will gradually arise. After all, it only happens once every 50 years. Many people can only watch it a few times, and it is the ultimate contest between the younger generations from all the major sects in Shenzhou. More importantly, after the Battle of Ghosts and Gods, this Shenzhou Tianlong battle will be particularly meaningful. Above, which sect's young disciple wins first place, basically the entire sect will shine because of it. In our Yanhuang Emperor City, no one has won the first place several times. Young people are the future strength of the section. If we haven't stood up to protect our imperial city's reputation, the Yanhuang Imperial City's first place will probably be taken away from us in the future. Lord Yanhuang said jokingly. However, as the most recognized force, it has failed to take first place in the Divine Continent Tianlong battle several times, and its honor has indeed been damaged. Who was the champion 50 years ago? Wu Yu was quite curious. You'd never guess it? Indeed, after Wu Yu thought about it for a while, he estimated that the person should have reached the state of soul transformation. He was close to 100 years old, Qiang Sword Immortal from Shushan, but he didn't know about the others. After all, he didn't know much about the heads of other sects. The Lord of Yanhuang City said, the decisive battle at that time was between Nangong Xian and Qin Zhensu. Qin Zhensu was slightly better and entered the Taku Immortal Road. Unfortunately, he later had a conflict with the Holy Lord Taixu. Moreover, this person was impatient and later practiced the way of ghosts and gods. Tao, he was almost beaten to death by Holy Master Taixu and expelled from the school. Now he has changed his name to Duomingshan Zhensu and became the 8th Hell Emperor. He is the only threat still alive. It turned out to be him. Wu Yu really didn't expect it? Duomingshan Zhensu, I don't know where he fled to. Did he gain anything in the Taku Immortal Road? Wu Yu asked. The Lord of Yanhuang City smiled and said, most people have gained nothing. Duomingshan Zhensu is considered a genius in the Divine Continent. He entered the Taku Immortal Road, but he is nothing. He only lasted a few days after entering. I encountered danger and gained nothing, so I just crushed the Taku Immortal Talisman and came back. In fact, in our Divine Continent for nearly 1,000 years, this has been the case for most people who entered, and there was no gain, so people didn't pay much attention to the Taku Immortal Road. Looking forward to it, What they look forward to more is to be number one in the world. Fortunately for Wu Yu, he just wanted to go to the Yanhuang ancient territory through this method. As for the harvest, it all depends on luck. What are your plans next? City Lord Yanhuang asked. Retreat and find some mystical arts to practice, Wu Yu said. The Lord of Yanhuang City smiled and said, speaking of which, I have to give you something. Let you fight for my Yanhuang Emperor City.